Hi, Ify. Thank you so much for taking time to be part of our Meet Our Tobacco Free Kids Youth Ambassador series. To start off, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Ify Chidi, and I'm originally from the Bay Area, California, but I just started college at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. And I have like a lot of like different and varied interests, but I've always been really interested in like tobacco and like tobacco control and like how to best I don't know, prevent like, other people from falling into this rabbit hole.
And so you mentioned like this is one of tobacco control issues are like something that's of interest to you. So what kind of inspired you to get involved in tobacco control?
Mm. It was kind of like early. So when I was in seventh grade, this guy was charge of like tobacco control in my county. He came and he gave a presentation to some students, and I happened to be there today. I didn't want to go to school that day, and but I was really like I was just like my mind was blown with like actually knowing like how bad like the nicotine is and what the industry is doing to keep cooking children to keep doing it. And so I was like I was so fed up. I went over up to him after the meeting was over and I asked if there's any way I could help. And then it just started like, going up from
In that,
there.
like, what does it mean to you to be tobacco free? Like, why is that something that you're passionate about? And like, is that something that you feel like you would want your peers to also share in, like this idea of a tobacco free future? Like, what does that mean to you?
Mm. I feel like a tobacco free future would mean to be also nicotine free and not have this like harmful substance really be marketed and perpetuated and just continue to be such a big like draw for my generation.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know my people like in my generation they don't really like, smoke as many cigarettes, but then we started like a whole new vice with e-cigarettes, and I feel like
Mm.
we were really close to being tobacco free, but it's really important to just be completely nicotine free for real for total.
And how do you feel about, the tobacco industry kind of changing from like cigarettes to e-cigarettes now and it being primarily targeting youth?
Mm-hmm. I feel like honestly, it's really like awful because like the tobacco industry, they go and they say, "Hey, we made this new product, e-cigarette, to help you not smoke and you can lower the dosage, whatever." I'm like, okay, like I see like the value of that, but then they go and they immediately start to, like marketing with these special flavors, and they're not like flavors that would be like going for adults. Like I don't know very many adults that want like a Sour Patch Gummy type like cigarette. So this is obviously like targeting like teenagers, and I feel like it's starting to hook so many more people into starting to be addicted to nicotine. It's just like all these different flavors, and so I feel like these flavors are really important and that we don't have them anymore.
Switching gears a little bit, um, I want to talk a bit about advocacy and your advocacy personally, but first, what do you think makes an effective advocate, ambassador? Like, what do you think are the things that kind of contribute to being an effective advocate?
I feel like firstly having a really great connection with your audience is very key to be a great advocate or somebody that wants to work in prevention and like in general. With back when I was in high school, like I'd go to I'd work I'd get presentations about like anti-drug and anti like vaping and cigarettes and stuff, but it didn't really click until I got like a get from like a person's like my peer, or, like somebody that's like me, they know what words to use and like something like on the similar wavelength. And so when I got like in the older ages of high school, I did a lot of presentations to younger like classes, and I've gotten a lot of feedback that like the way I present the information is very different than what an adult would. And so I feel like yeah, having really great like connection with your audience is like really vital.
What keeps you motivated to continue doing advocacy? Like, what keeps you going and kind of keeps you passionate about this?
I think anytime I hear like stories about like what my effect has actually done and like what impact I have. I remember when I was I think last 2 years ago, I believe, in California, we a lot of other organizations together. There's a whole got Senate Bill 793, I believe, passed to seize the sale of flavored e-cigarettes in California, which is awesome. But I
Yeah.
remember like calling up senators and like, hey, can you not like can you help vote for this like bill? And I didn't really like I just like it was all like that was like effective. But then when I really like saw the bill being passed and actually seeing the value of my work and knowing that people are not going to be persuaded into smoking or getting a nicotine addiction in the future, that's what really like, kept me wanting to keep going.
I love that you mentioned that because, more recently, Prop 31, that victory happened in California as well. Like, is there anything that like maybe from an outside perspective, even though you're very entrenched in this issue, like what did you find exciting about hearing that news and knowing that like the sale of flavored products will be stopped in California?
I think like the main thing is that like I know it was really exciting knowing that like people won't be able to more people won't be able to like to start or won't be really persuaded and easily wanting to start because like I know I'm in like going and being in the bathroom in like high school and hearing people like they think like, oh, this tastes so good, you should give it a try, and I'm like, oh, it's not really
Yeah,
it's not the vibes. And so that really
yeah.
made me really excited.
What's been your biggest accomplishment in your advocacy efforts so far? And if you had to think about, this is a two-part question, but if you had to also think about your future goals, what's like your biggest goal in the future? And then what's your biggest accomplishment that you've done so far?
Mm. I think my biggest accomplishment has been being giving like talks and talking to all these people from all over my county. I gave I every about like once a year, me and my friends in my like tobacco club, we made like a PSA about like anti-tobacco work and being able to see all like the shares that I got and how many people were able to see it, and just going into so many classrooms and giving so many talks. And like I think my one of my favorite things I think was being able to actually educate all the teachers in my school at their staff meetings about how to best like notice when students would be like vaping or relating to an addiction, how to best help them for that path. Right? Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Oh, and then the
Um,
second part of the question did
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
answer.
yeah,
I think in the future I really want to go into like public health work. And like right now I'm majoring in medical anthropology, which is kind of like the study of like how different cultures are impacted by like medicine and like health and stuff. And so I feel like that's very, very important for like with public health work. I'd love to keep going into that. Right now I am working with an organization in local Cleveland and part of my medical school as well to help start doing more like advocacy and prevention education work within my community. But I hope I can make a bigger impact and hopefully do that on like a governmental level.
yeah. You've done a lot and you've accomplished a lot, and I know your future is super bright, and it's amazing to hear that you want to go into public health. Tell me more about like what other issues you're passionate about. What other things kind of are on your mind as things of like, I know tobacco control may be one, but I'm sure there's others. What are they?
I think one of my main issues that I'm really passionate about is like racism, like racism as a public health issue and just in general, and like especially like in the medical field and how that if it impacts it, and how like a lot of people aren't as like culturally aware as they should.
Yeah.
And I think especially during Black History Month, it's very important to like recognize how I guess this more back into tobacco, but how the tobacco industry specifically is targeting people of color, especially people that have melanin in their skin.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really passionate about that as well.
We just talked about other issues you're passionate about, but as somebody from, a younger generation, what are the issues that you feel have defined your generation, and how do you think these things kind of relate to tobacco use? I know you touched on youth in schools, and maybe that's a piece there too, but like just tell me more about what you think are the issues that are kind of weighing on your generation, and how those relate to tobacco use.
Mm, mm. I think one main issue that will be like affecting my generation for the rest of our lives would be like the effect of COVID-19 and how that like it's really like it was affected like one of our most like developmentally important years, and a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't really know how to react afterwards or what to do, and a lot of people like may like to cope may have like, gone into more unhealthy habits like tobacco or e-cigarettes. And yeah, I'm not even sure how the solution for that problem would be, but I know it's definitely going to be affecting us for a while.
Yeah, and I know like, it's hard to think of solutions because it's still something that's developing. We're still learning new things about it every day, but is there a way that if you had if you had your one wish, like how would you envision your generation being supported through this? I know, solutions may not be coming up right away, but how do you envision being supported through dealing with COVID-19?
Hmm. I think there's a lot in that. For if you go for more of like a like drug aspect, I feel like it's really important that people do get the support that they need for to either to not to like start losing or what's called like tobacco cessation like methods, and education with that and ways to healthfully do that, and support for that, for cessation, also support for not using it even more. And so that goes in hand with like more laws and like anti-flavor laws and like stuff like that.
What advice would you give to youth who are interested in advocacy or interested in this issue, and are considering like, where do I start? Like, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I'd say like first, just like don't be scared to try something and do anything, because anything would really have a great impact. And you can go to your like local authorities. Most counties have like a public health office that definitely would have some focus, or some like a person in charge of like tobacco or anything you're interested in. You can go to them and ask if they need support. Most of the time they usually do. I myself worked with my county for a while for helping with like that, and join the campaign for tobacco free kids. They definitely always have stuff for you to do.
That's great advice. I love the plug right there. What's one thing that you're most excited about in your future?
I think I also am really excited for hopefully graduating undergrad and getting into like either like a medical school or some kind of graduate program. I'm excited to be able to study just what I'm really interested in.
Who are some of your role models and heroes? Who do you look up to or admire?
Mm-hmm. It's a lot. I think one of my like favorite role models, I've literally wrote like 4 essays about this woman. I love she's now former California Surgeon General Dr. Nadine Burke Harris. She does a lot of work with like pediatrics and like kind of like prevention for people who like had like adverse like impacts growing up, and how that affects them in their future. And she did a lot of work and like really great work as the California Surgeon General, and that kind of made me want to be California Surgeon General after.
Oh my God, I could totally see it. I could totally see that for sure. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk with us. It's been truly like a pleasure to learn more about you, your journey, and all of the amazing things you're doing. They're very inspiring, and we hope to hear more amazing things about you in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.